I'm putting the soft bait set away. I'm going to actually try and catch some fish on sliders. Shouldn't be too hard. And show you guys, I guess how I do it, because I've had a few questions in my previous videos about how I fish the sliders, what depths I fish them in, can you use them in shallow water, all those kinds of questions, eh? So yeah, hopefully today I'll be able to answer some of your questions and you'll learn a thing or two. Or better yet, leave a comment below on how you fish sliders and maybe I'll learn a thing or two, because that's what it's all about, eh? So I guess one of the most important things about fishing sliders is making sure you've got the correct gear. I prefer an overhead reel, that way you can feel any hits on the drop. Gives you a bit more control. And you need to have a nice sensitive rod as well. The rod that I use is an Ocean Angler Powerflex bender, specifically designed by Ocean Angler for slider fishing, so can't really get much better than that, eh? And to be honest, it's quite well priced. The reel I'm using is a Daiwa Salist 15H. It's actually spooled with 30-pound braid, and I usually use 40-pound leader, which is honestly way too heavy for slider fishing. When I bought this set ages ago, I was all about, you know, stopping power and all that good stuff. These days I like to fish light tackle, so I need to get it re-spooled, but there we go, we're hooked up. Not anymore. So let's go on to technique. Super easy. Drop to the bottom, holding your thumb on the spool, feeling for any knocks on the way down. If you feel any knocks, put it into gear. Once you get to the bottom, you just slow wind. Depending on how deep you're fishing will depend on how many winds you do. Sort of brings me on to another point that gets brought up quite a bit. A lot of people think that you can only fish these in deeper water, like 30 metres, 40 metres, stuff like that. And I guess they're mainly marketed towards sort of workup fishing and that style, which is generally in quite deep water. However, I am currently fishing in 8 metres, and I use them all the time out here, narrow neck, in under 10 metres, with very good success. So don't be put off by that, you just need to use a lightweight. This is a 40 gram Ocean Angler slider. You want to use just enough weight for the lure to get to the bottom. You want to fish vertically. You don't want to have a big angle in your line, it'll decrease your hookup rate. Yeah, pretty much just rinse and repeat, eh? Drop to the bottom, couple of winds, there we go. And the fish just hook themselves. This one's not particularly big, but you get the idea. So one thing that's important about fishing sliders and increasing your hookup rate is you don't want to strike when you feel the fish nibbling. You just want to continue winding slowly, and they'll keep nibbling at the skirt, nibbling at the hooks, and they'll hook themselves. And once you do hook the fish, it's very important that you keep pressure on the whole time, because I'll show you shortly the hooks are very small, so it doesn't take much for them to shake the head a bit and spit the hook, so really important that you keep that pressure on. Now I'll often see fish on the sounder and I won't be hooking up. Could be for a number of reasons. They might just not be hungry. However, I find one way that seems to increase my hookup is once it hits the bottom, just leave it for a second or two before you put it in gear and start winding. I don't know why, but I've just found over the years that I seem to get more hookups like that. Obviously you want to be careful about doing that if you're fishing over, you know, a lot of reef and structure, so you don't get snagged. But alright, let's try this out. Dropping down to the bottom, feeling for any hits on the way down. Once I get there, I'll leave it for a second or two. Put in gear, start winding slowly. There we go. Keep the pressure on as best you can. It can be quite hard in these shallow spots because they're pretty feisty and they'll give you a good scrap. This one's not a big one. Thanks, bro. There you go, not a big fish, but that's the technique we use. Quite often I find that I'm getting lots of bites, lots of nibbles, but not hooking up. So one thing I've found that, I think it increases your hookup rate, maybe it's just luck, but instead of striking, because you don't want to do that, when you're feeling nibbles, and they're nibbling but not hooking, if you slowly lift your rod, while you keep winding slowly, I've just found that seems to put them on the bite a little bit, makes them a bit more likely to hook themselves. So I'll try and demonstrate that for you. That one didn't work in my favour, did it? I guess the main thing when you're doing it is to just try a bunch of different things, eh? Vary your retrieve rate. I generally go quite slow like this because I find it works best, but if I'm not catching and it's not working, then I might wind a bit faster, or I might do some staggered winds. Just see what works on the day, but the general principles remain the same. Don't strike, keep the pressure on once you do hook up. Make sure you're always fishing with your line vertical in the water. And I guess colour's another big variable. I found my secret colour, my go-to, I've never ever come home without catching fish on it, is Ocean Angler pink head with an orange skirt. I don't know if the fish seem to like it more or if I just get lucky on it, but I've never come home without catching a fish on that combo. There it is there. Go to. That's the one. Now there's a whole lot of different brands of sliders out there too. I've only ever fished with Ocean Angler. That's what I started with and it worked for me, so why change? But I'm sure the overall concept is the same for any brand. It's like Globite and I think Shimano have some and whatever. You'll probably find heaps out there. They all fish the same. So don't get too caught up on brands and whatnot, just see what works for you. Might have to cut the camera here. This one's, geez, it's a little embarrassing to be honest with you. Not giving sliders a good name. Look at that bad boy. But yeah, I really wanted to make this feels a little bit better. I really wanted to make this video because I've had a lot of questions about fishing sliders, and I feel like there's this common misconception that sliders are only used for deep water fishing, workups and all that stuff, but I mean, even in this short time I've had plenty of hookups. Obviously none of them are big, but the technique works. I'm in 8 meters of water, so definitely recommend getting a slider set for kayak fishing. It's just so easy as well. You see a bit of sign on the sounder, drop down, have a few goes. If you don't get anything, all good, move on. suppose another thing I should mention is that sliders are fished best while you're drifting. So you can fish them while you're anchored. I've fished them anchored before and caught fish. But like a lot of sort of lure fishing, I think it's gonna be most productive fishing on the drift. But like I say, try shit out. Try out different things. He's a scrappy bugger. Not much weight there, but he's not happy to be hooked. I'd like to catch a good one on here for you guys. Show you that it actually produces good fish. Now we've got old mate up there trying to just ruin my audio. Finally got something decent on the slider. I would have the soft bait out at the same time, that's how it goes. So for this one here, felt him biting, so I did the slow wind, I did the slow lift while continuing to wind, and then just felt the weight come on. So, happy days. Hope you guys learnt something today about slider fishing. Bloody hell. Yeah, hope you guys learnt something today about slider fishing. It's a pretty productive way to catch a feed, that's for sure. If you've got any questions, leave a comment below. If you've got any tips for me or any suggestions, once again, leave a comment below, and yeah, we'll see how we go, eh?